Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here trying out another live video, and this time I wanted to share that scrapbook.com is starting their 12 days of giveaways. It's kind of already started because they've been giving away free stuff for like a free product with any purchase for a while now, but today's like the first official day of the 12 days, and so they are giving away today a random pad of Lawn Fawn paper. So a 6x6 Lawn Fawn paper pad. And so today I wanted to show you an idea with a Lawn Fawn paper pad. And of course I will leave you links to scrapbook.com, so if that's something you like. They're also having a lot of great sales right now. And today I'm going to use the Watercolor Wishes Lawn Fawn paper pad. Like I said, it's a random paper pad, so I can't tell you like which paper pad you're going to get. You won't know until it kind of shows up. But I'm a big fan of Lawn Fawn paper pads. I have like 9 here on my desk with me as I was trying to decide which one to use. I have, you know, the Christmas plaid and the polka in the dark, and I have 2 packs of the perfectly plaid rainbow, and like I like Lawn Fawn paper pads so much that sometimes I wind up with more than one of each pad. But for today's card, I had an idea of doing something simple, and I was also going to make use of a Spellbinders die that I had. I recently picked up this Spellbinders background die, and it doesn't cover an entire background. It just covers part of one background. You kind of already saw a sneak peek of it, but I'm going to talk more about that later. First, I just wanted to kind of show you a quick version of my Copic coloring. It's going to be kind of hard for me to do it live because I will tell you, when I Copic color, I normally like put my face right in it. And so I'm afraid I'm going to color outside the lines and it's not going to look quite as good, but I hope it's going to give you an idea, because some people kind of asked about that, like, you know, giving a little bit more of a step-by-step tutorial on Copic coloring. So I thought I'd color something relatively simple, and it's something that I already have pre-colored and die cut from the past, and I'm going to use them on my card. So I've already colored this narwhal in the past, and I am going to use him on my cards, or some of my cards today, but I'm going to just color a new one for you now, and just so you can see how it goes. So I started with an overall layer of the C3 because that's going to be my lightest color. Then I went in with my C5 to start adding my shading. I have personally found better results by gradually building up the color. Now, I know other people are successful with going right from the darkest color, and it could be all dependent on the paper that you use. And I'm not going to like make judgments about every quality of paper out there just because I haven't tried them all. I did get a piece of the Nina 80-pound cardstock in a card kit one time, and I tried working with it and I had trouble. Does that mean everyone will have trouble? Does that mean it's bad cardstock? No, because a lot of people use the Nina 80-pound. I think it's really about what you're used to. You kind of get to know how much ink your particular paper takes. You get to know how you need to flick for your particular paper. So with that in mind, I personally use the Recollections 110-pound cardstock from Michaels. I find it to be a very versatile pack of paper. You get, I think it's 100 sheets for $15, and that is full regular price. Now, I don't pay full regular price for anything at Michaels, pretty much, just because there's always a coupon. Right now, I believe until Saturday, there's like a 50% coupon, so that brings 100 sheets down to $7.50. You know, much better deal than some of the other choices out there, and it works for me. So that's how I got the shading. Sorry, I should be talking more about my coloring and not about my paper. I went in with the C7, and as you can see, I leave my markers open. I don't keep closing them and opening them and closing and opening them. I don't usually stand them up like that because I'm not trying to show everyone. You know, I just kind of put them off to the side. But I do like to keep them open because I find if I keep opening and closing them, it just kind of gets annoying after a while. And when you're coloring a relatively small area, your markers aren't going to dry out that quickly. So I added the C7, I blended it out with the C5, and then the C3. So I went all the way back to my lightest, but before I went back to my lightest, I went in with my medium tone. So like I said, just layering on a lot of color. That's what personally works for me. Now that's my W7 marker. I don't know if you can quite read the marker caps. I'm trying to show them to you in a helpful way, but I'm actually just going to do some solid coloring here on the horn, because that's what I did the first time around. I didn't need to make it too detailed. You certainly could. I think at the time I googled what a narwhal looks like, and so that's why I put the darker horn, but that's my general recommendation. If you're not sure what color something is, just do a Google image search. So now my narwhal's colored. I will use my Scan and Cut to cut it out. I don't have coordinating dies. I have my Scan and Cut now, and so I just kind of, I do my thing with my Scan and Cut. I don't need to buy the coordinating dies. I find it worth it. Recently, Amazon had an amazing price on the Scan and Cut. I don't know what it's going to be right now, but earlier this week it was $224 for the CM350, whichever one I have, which I've been very happy with, was back down to a good price just in time for the holidays, so you also might want to check that out. I've also die cut this Hello die, also from Lawn Fawn. I'm going to use a lot of Lawn Fawn today just because, like I said, I wanted to kind of show you how to use up their paper pads and how to kind of use some of their products you might already have from them. If you are a fan like I am, I have so much Lawn Fawn. I have like one of my IKEA Alex ones, the small Alex, not the long, large one on casters, but one of the smaller ones. There's like almost a full drawer full of Lawn Fawn stamps, and that doesn't include my dies and paper and all that. So to say I'm a bit of a Lawn Fawn fan is an understatement. I cut out the Hello die 2 times, I glued it together. By the magic of video, I have a bunch of them done. I.e. I did them ahead of time because I'm trying to do this live. Just like I have narwhals pre-colored ahead of time. Those were actually from months and months ago. I'm just kind of trying to use up some stuff that I colored. I find coloring after work to be pretty relaxing. So here is my first card, essentially, that I've kind of made off camera just to see if I liked it. And I'm going to be able to do a few versions of it. And what I like about this design that I came up with is you basically use 2 pieces of 6x6 paper together with each other. So you can cut down one of the pieces to the just under the A2 size card. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and that leaves you a 2-inch strip. So if you cut this at 4 inches, you have a 2 by 6 inch strip. And I cut 1.5 inches, and that 1.5 inches of the 2-inch strip becomes this border piece here. So I picked out from the Watercolor Wishes paper, I have picked out one of each color. So you start with, I think it's the pink is first. So I picked the pink, one of the yellows, one of the greens, etc., etc. There's 6 colors in the pack. Pulled out 1 sheet of each, thought about how they coordinate. I liked the light blue with the green. I like the pink with the tealish color, I guess I want to say, turquoise. And I like the purple with the yellow. Those were my picks. And so I'm going to pair them up that way. And then I am going to add this Spellbinders background die to each of them. And I decided to mix it up a little bit. Sometimes I'm adding it on the bottom, sometimes I'm adding it on the top. And I am going to keep it relatively simple. Now, I am going to go pause the video, chop up some of that paper, and start assembling the rest of the card. Alright, so my pattern paper, although it's a very subtle pattern as you can see, is all cut up now. It is in the 4 by 5 1/4 size and the 1.5 by 6 inch size. So I'm going to be trimming off a little bit more of that, as you can imagine. But I just wanted to, I find it easier to trim it long and then chop off what, you know, comes to the side of the card rather than trying to come up with a perfect measurement, as I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes all the time and I don't want to cut it to the wrong length. So I have this Spellbinders background die here. It is called the Spellbinders Designer Series Kaleidoscope. And as I said, it is available on scrapbook.com. Just like the paper pads, you can order this and get your paper pad for free. whichever random one they assign you, or pick something else fun. A lot of this, they have a lot of sales going on now too, so their clearance section is great. I was perusing it and trying to not overspend earlier this week. So here, to attach this, I have die cut it out. And when you die cut it out, it has all these pieces in it. And they create quite the mess. You got to get them all out. There's a Spellbinders, I think it's called a Tool-in-One, that's supposed to make this a lot easier. But I will say, I don't have too much trouble with it. I'm not saying that tool isn't worth it. It's not a very expensive tool as far as I know. However, it's just not something I've ever invested in because I don't know. I really don't have a good reason why I haven't, just because I was like, well, I could spend money on that or cute stamps, and I guess cute stamps won. So, what I did find with this particular one, I did cut this out of the 110-pound cardstock as well, and I found that I could be a little bit rough with it. I could bend it up and kind of push on those little pieces, and that's what I did. Like, I just sort of, like, bent it up and rubbed on them, and that got most of them loosened up. And it didn't really do anything to my cardstock because it's a thicker cardstock. But I wonder if you cut it from a thinner cardstock, if the pieces would slide out easier. And when I die cut, I almost always use this metal shim, this precision plate, and I put that with my cutting plates, with my standard cutting plate set, because I find that it makes intricate dies cut out even easier. It applies just a bit more pressure. However, you don't need the fancy plate. My mom always just uses a piece of thick cardstock to help. For me, I think the plate gives a little bit more even pressure. I don't have to worry about it. It doesn't, because over time the cardstock becomes less effective because it gets compressed, and I don't know. That is one of those little things that I went for. I think I picked it up at a local scrapbook store, which is another reason, like another way that I can be kind of fooled into spending more money is if I'm supporting a small business, then I'm like, well, I want this local scrapbook store to stick around, so I'm going to make this purchase of something that I might not otherwise normally get. Now, I want to attach this intricate die with all these holes in it. 2 different ways you can do it. I tried both ways. For ease, for quickness, I like the Umbrella Crafts Dot Roller. The thing about the dot roller is it's only going to stick on some pieces because it's just leaving little dots of adhesive versus leaving a big strip of adhesive. So when it comes in contact with one of these holes, it's not going to put adhesive there. The adhesive is going to go right through. And so if you're trying to be quick, that's one good solution. You just kind of rub it along. Now I don't have to go all the way to the edge because I know some of this is going to hang off, so I can save myself a little bit of adhesive and not cover those bottom pieces I'm not going to use. But then the other way to attach an intricate die cut, it's a little bit more fussy, but I find that it gives a little bit more precise results in some ways, is the multimedia mat from Ranger or some kind of liquid glue. A lot of people like Tombow Mono Multi. I'm sure that would do the trick as well. I just don't have many of it. The thing with the dot roller though is the dots might not perfectly fit into these solid areas. Some of the little bit of the adhesive might be kind of poking out the edges. And there are ways that you can deal with that, but that's what I think makes it a little bit quote unquote messier than doing it with the multi-medium. It leaves these little bits of adhesive. You probably can't even see it on this video, but what you can do is you can get those up. There's like little bits of the adhesive here on my work surface. Just rubbing them gets it right up. Taking a Tombow rubber eraser, this is any rubber eraser would actually do, can help pick up some of those little pieces of adhesive that are going through. But like I said, you don't even really need the eraser, just your hand will do. But that can pick up some of them. I would say that like the thing about that is if you're going to keep going over all these little areas with the Tombow sand eraser to pick up this extra adhesive, well, maybe you should have just taken the time to put the multimedia mat on. Or if you don't mind the little bit of adhesive sticking through because it's not very noticeable, then you don't have to do that step. Just use the dot roller. So then I'll turn the piece of cardstock or a piece of pattern paper over, and trim off those edges. Then I'm ready to add this banner piece, but I wanted the banner to mimic the points of the Kaleidoscope die. So what I'm going to do is take my coordinating piece of Watercolor Wishes cardstock. I'm going to sort of just gently lay my die cut piece over it, and it doesn't have to be exact, just enough to give me a general idea of how it would match up. Snip it a bit. You can clean it up if you want, but it just gives the general same shape. And then apply some adhesive to that. My general favorite adhesive is my Scotch ATG gun, which you guys have probably seen me use in a whole bunch of videos. I'll tape that down. Having a strong adhesive for this step is pretty important because you're only going to be sticking to some of these. It's not perfectly flat. There's a thickness in there, so you do want it to hold tight. And again, turn the card over and trim this piece off. And that way, if I don't lay it perfectly straight, the edge is still straight because I've cut it to match. And then I have this chunk and some of the, and like, you know, there's a little bit of scrap left. And you can hold on to these pieces for future use, or if that's small enough for you, you know, toss them. Then I'm ready to add my die cut that I doubled up. Again, I could use the umbrella crafts from scrapbook.com. These are, I think they're actually just branded as scrapbook.com. I think that, but it's an exclusive to them. And you could use that, or you could use your multimedia mat with the fine tip. Whatever works better for you. I'm going to go with multimedia mat just because as I'm tracing along, it's a little bit, I actually find this a little bit easier to trace than something like the grid pattern because it is all connected in a scripty sort of way that your hands naturally move writing in script. So it's not too labor intensive to add that glue. Adhere that down. Some of it might kind of come out underneath, but as you know, working with multimedia matte, you don't have to worry about that. It's going to dry matte and clear. And then I'm just going to add my narwhal that I have previously colored. I also have some other images in here that I previously colored. These came in a kit a long time ago. I actually think with this turquoise and pink paper, some of my other already colored in images might be even cuter. I like her, but I don't really like the red hair with the pink. I'm not a big red and pink person, personally. So I think maybe I could go with this little mermaid here. I like to color my mermaids, or my people, my little people images in varying skin tones, just because I donate a lot of my cards and I want the kids who get them to be able to receive cards with characters with similar skin tone. I think that that can be fun for them. Anyway, I think I want to go with her. I think she looks really cute there. I like the idea that I'm pulling in the pink and the blue, even though I didn't intentionally color them together, but why not go for it? That's why I like to have a bunch of images on hand colored. I color to relax, then I send them through my scan and cut, and when I'm ready to sit down and make cards, I have them ready to go. So I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape behind her. This is pretty thin foam tape, just because I don't want to add too much bulk to this particular card. You could go with a thicker foam tape if that's what you happen to have on hand, and depending on whether you're trying to mail it or not. But thin foam like tape like this, you could just send a regular stamp on. So then that's one more version of the card completed. So I'm just going to stick it on a white card base. No reason to overthink it. I have a lot of white going on in the card anyway. This is a standard A2 size card. And there we go. And so I'm going to make a whole bunch of these, as you saw. I'm going to make the different color combinations. I already have them cut. I'm not going to show you them all. I'm just going to keep assembling it the same way. Use some different characters, make some of them at the top of the card, some of them at the bottom of the card, maybe some coming from the other direction. You know, mix it up a little bit, but generally keep them all the same. As I mentioned, I'll link you to some of the supplies in the video description below, particularly scrapbook.com, just because who doesn't like something free with your order? I mean, if you're going to order anyway, and their shipping's pretty reasonable and all that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I have some videos coming down the pipe. I'm trying to share more of all the things that I've recorded. And thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.